Hello, my name's Adam Noon and you're watching The Best Football Show. On this week's episode we're going to bring you something of a Champions League preview. You'll be very pleased to hear that the Champions League is back with a bang, back where it belongs on the Tuesday and Wednesday nights of midweek. And we're down to the big boys now, we're down to the knockout rounds. This is where you really sort the wheat from the chaff. This is where the true class shows itself. And obviously some of the biggest games in the football calendar. Now, before we preview that, I wanted to give you an update on the situation with the corporate sponsorship agreement that we had with Fanta that was so controversially terminated in one of the earlier episodes of this series. We actually have an update on this, and it's one that I'm really glad to bring you. Is we now have actually rejoined with Fanta to bring you this episode sponsored by Fanta. Specifically not Fanta Orange. So I had long meaningful chats with the Coca-Cola company. In fact, can someone edit in, it's actually not Fanta Orange for this episode, can somebody edit in can we put an edit point in here and change this to like a lemon Fanta or just one of the other Fantas? Okay. We actually spent a lot of time in discussions with the Coca-Cola company talking about Fanta, and we agreed that we don't want to be associated with fascism and Nazi Germany, and so instead we would only be sponsored by the flavours of Fanta that weren't orange Fanta, the ones that have no association with Nazi Germany. And I talked to the Coca-Cola company about how they feel about fascism, and they said that they hate it. They can't stand it, and actually they've got they've asked me to read out a prepared statement. Okay, so here it goes. The Coca-Cola Company brand and its associated trademark Fanta would like to distance itself from not just Nazism but all forms of fascism. Whilst we are aware that Fanta and Nazi Germany go hand in hand, and it could be argued that Hitler's reign of terror was in fact fuelled by the great-tasting orange-flavoured beverage, the ritual genocide and oppression of vast groups of people is no longer one of our core brand values. In fact, the opposite is true. We believe that Fanta is a refreshing carbonated treat that should be enjoyed by everyone, regardless of faith or creed or colour. And actually I'm going to go slightly off script here and add in my own words to this. I would actually say that Jewish people deserve a refreshing treat more than some of the races because of everything that they've been through over the years. I'm going to go back to the script. So with one hand, grab the hand of the person nearest to you, and with the other hand, assuming you have two hands, grab a Fanta, and let's drink to a brighter future together. So I think that's really good that we've got that resolved. I think we didn't want that unpleasantness hanging over us, and I'm glad to say that the Best Football Show is brought to you in association with Fanta, and I'm looking forward to many years of fruitful sponsorship opportunities. No, pardon the pun, that was wasn't even intended. Fruitful. I guess that's just what happens. So, like I say, bringing you today Champions League preview. This is actually a bit difficult because it turns out that my scheduling conflicts meant that I wasn't able to record this before the Champions League games kicked off. So as we're speaking now, Man City are about 4-0 up, I think, and Juventus are about 2-1 up. And I did think about maybe waiting until those games had finished and doing something of a kind of half preview, half review of those games. But then I realised that actually I was going to be tired tomorrow if I didn't get some decent sleep tonight. So I haven't had the chance to watch either of those two games and won't be previewing in more detail the other games. But as I say, it's all of the big teams. If you go on the BBC Football website, there's a full list of fixtures there. And if you Google the details, you can see where those teams are in their respective leagues. You'll see that most of them are at the very top, if not actual full top. So it's going to be a couple of weeks of fantastic games. Okay, the final thing that I wanted to talk about tonight is I wanted to bring us back to a second edition of the popular feature that we debuted a few weeks ago called My Soapbox. And this is an opportunity for me to talk about something that is going on in the wider world, give my opinion, my view on a wider topic. Last time round, I talked about VAR, the video assisted referees that are dominating a lot of conversation in the football world at the minute. This week I want to talk about something very close to my heart, something that I think it's important that we're all aware of. That is the Flat Earth Society. It's the fact that we have all been lied to over these many years, that the Earth is spherical, the Earth is round. When all you need is even just a cursory glance at some of the facts, and you'll see that the Earth is in fact flat and has always been flat. And I'm going to give you some reasons now as to why that is true. Just give me a second. Okay, let's take these one by one. So, firstly, let's talk about air travel. If the Earth really was round and it was supposed to be orbiting the sun or whatever bullshit we've been fed in the past, just think about this. If you wanted to get anywhere in the world, all you would need to do is to get into a helicopter, fly up, and then let the Earth revolve around to get you to, and then the ground would be in a different place, and when you went back down you could have got up in England, you could have got down in Scotland or something stupid like that. It's just not possible, is it? Just think about that for a second. Then likewise, again, if we take the aviation example, where I think where you'll find a lot of these, stupid things really fall apart, is if you were in a plane, why don't you just fly off into space when you're flying? So if the world is a circle like this and you take off and then you fly like that, well, hello, hang a second, let's draw that out again. That's the Earth, this is the plane, where are you going? You're going straight into space. And then finally, another big one is if the Earth is revolving around, when you get your gun and you shoot directly up into the air, it should land a long way away, because bullet goes up into the air, you fire in, and then should be that bullet goes right the way up, but then as the Earth revolves, that bullet should be landing in an entirely different place, because obviously you've got this thing going on, and it doesn't. It lands directly back at your feet. So I'd like to know how people think that, given those facts, how anybody can think that this is a spherical globe, as I say. I think it's a lie that's been perpetuated by the American government, by NASA, and I'll go into some of the reasons for that and some of the other features. But really, I think it's a shame that we've got so many people that aren't willing to be brave and speak up and give their opinion on something that is so patently true. And actually, I think it's a show of how cowardly and weak most people, not only in this country but in America, are as well. It's disappointing, but I think that's the nature of things. That's the way that things have gone here in 2018. I mentioned before about NASA being involved in this. I think it's very, very clear that what's happening is that if we are taught that we have gone into space and that space is a thing and that you're able to go off and do all this NASA crap that they talk about, is all of the money that is supposedly funneled into NASA can go into the pockets of the fat cats in the American government. They're not actually spending this money on space travel because it's all bullshit. Then that money just goes straight into their pockets, and that's whoever sees that again. Nobody questions it again, because we're all just walking around asleep like zombies. Sort of conditioned to be. My eyes are open. And like I say, the whole thing is based on the idea that really when you see pictures, if you look at YouTube videos, you will see in fact that the firmament, which is the dome that is covering the globe, you will see that what could be endless supplies of very, very black ice actually cover up phenomenal vast supplies of oil. And that if we were to find out as a people that oil was readily available in huge quantities, the fat cat, big greedy oil people wouldn't be able to drive up huge prices that we pay to fill up our cars. And that's the fact of it. This is a situation where we are walking around with our eyes closed. We are asleep as a nation, as a world, to this fact. And I think it's time that more people join me in waking up and seeing what's going on with that. And I think if you bring this back to football, and this is what we're primarily here for, albeit that this is my show and my soapbox if needs be, we have to remember that if you put a football onto a pitch, let's say kickoff is a perfect example, or a penalty, why doesn't that ball roll down? If this was a spherical globe, and you put a ball onto a sphere, what would happen to it? It's one ball on top of effectively what is another ball, and it would roll away, wouldn't it? Likewise, if you were playing on a globe surface, one team would have a tremendous advantage because you would be attacking down a hill as opposed to attacking up a hill. So again, it's bullshit. Anybody who's awake, anyone who's got their eyes open, can see that it's not possible that it's a round Earth. But yeah, anyway, that's my soapbox. It's going to be fascinating to see how the teams get on in the Champions League. I'll be bringing you my report of how they get on as the weeks come on. I think the English teams have got a really good chance this year. Some really strong teams in it, Man United. And I think it's going to be great to see how that unfolds. If you want to get in touch with me, as so many of you have so far, you can email thebestfootballshow@gmail.com, or you can get in touch on Twitter @bestfootyshow. My name's Adam Noon. This has been the Best Football Show. Thanks for watching.